All right, so welcome everyone. It's good to see you. Now this week's topic are the 4 sublime attitudes, or the 4 divine abidings. And on Saturday we discussed the first pair, which is kindness and compassion. And today it's all about the second pair, which is empathetic joy or sympathetic joy, and equanimity. So all the 4 states are kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. Well, kindness is the wish for someone to experience happiness and well-being. Compassion is what kindness feels when it encounters suffering, when it encounters distress, despair, pain. It wishes for that suffering to end, whether it is within yourself or within others. And empathetic joy, also known as Mudita, the word is Mudita, which is kind of like what kindness experiences when it encounters happiness, when it encounters goodness, pleasantness, either within yourself or within others. It rejoices in it. It enjoys it. And here we're not just talking about some ordinary pleasantries that we might experience, but really about anything that is of a wholesome nature. It means which is good in the short and the long run, both for yourself and others. Even including those things which are painful in the short run, but good in the long run. For example, the pain of doing your meditation practice. You might not want to do it, but you still do it. You still stick to the routine, you still stick to the practice. You're not just following likes and dislikes, but you still do it. You do it because it is a good thing to do, not because you feel like doing it. There's a difference, right? So that might be a short-term pain, but it is a long-term benefit. You might not want to help someone in need and in distress because you're kind of feeling lazy. Not today. But you still do it because you know it's a good thing to do. So that has long-term ramifications. It's a very, very good thing. And of course, like always when we come to the conditioned realm, when we're talking about things that are subject to cause and result, it's always a bit complicated. So we have to really analyze it in terms of each and every case. We cannot make like a global statement, really. We can only say that we can learn to rejoice in what is wholesome and what is good within ourselves first. So for example, when you see that you're doing something good, let's say you're getting angry at someone and you're not expressing that anger at that person. As you're not yelling at them. You just have a bad day. Maybe you just got up on the wrong foot. You're not feeling really good. You had a bad night's sleep. And you feel grumpy, and then you encounter that person who is really not intending any harm or anything, and you just get angry at the way they move. And you would like to snap at them or say something mean and nasty. And you don't. You kind of exercise some self-control. You say, no, I'm not following that impulse. Or someone says something to you and you know better and you could correct them, but you're not. You just listen to them instead. And you can rejoice in that. You can experience a great amount of joy in actually exercising self-control, being disciplined in many areas. You can also exercise rejoicing in yourself when you are doing things like being kind to someone, helping someone, or helping yourself, or having a good meditation session, taking time for yourself. Instead of finding fault in something, instead you shift towards being more grateful for what you have. And so you bring gratitude, the energy of gratitude into your mind, or the energy of compassion into your mind. And then you see that you're doing that. You see that you practice. You're acknowledging, you're recognizing your wholesome efforts. You're practicing what is good, what is skillful, what is nice, what is beautiful in this world. You contribute with some good energy in some way, through body, speech, or thought. Great. Rejoice in it. I do recommend, for example, at the end of each day to reflect on how your day has been. What did you do today? How were your encounters like? How did you treat yourself? How did you treat your breath? How did you treat your health? How did you treat your emotions? How did you treat your body? How did you eat? How did you exercise? Or rest, take a nap, sleep when your body was tired? How did you treat others in your life around you? What kind of conversations did you have? And every night when you do this kind of reflection, when you're kind of looking at how you spend your day, what you did, and you find more and more that you did so many nice, inspiring, good things, you start to feel really good about yourself. In a good way. You rejoice in yourself. And we call that self-respect. You start to really respect yourself. Some people, they preach that you need to have self-respect for no reason. It's just because you exist, you need to respect yourself. I slightly disagree. I think you should absolutely respect your existence. There's no doubt about that. But kind of just saying, I'm great because I'm here, not really. For example, you could cultivate that feeling and really be offensive to people around you. Like creating a whole lot of disharmony in a group, talking badly behind other people's back, and then still in the evening you come home and then chant in the mirror and say, I'm the best. I'm the most amazing person ever. I'm a god. I'm a goddess. I'm divine. But when really your actions don't really reflect that. So it's very important to have some honesty as well. Some integrity. Like really knowing what am I truly doing. That requires a whole lot of honesty. It's very difficult. One of the most difficult things I personally find, actually. After many, many years of practice, faculty of honesty, integrity is one of the most tough ones. I love to be fake about myself. It's so easy. It comes natural. It comes natural to do what feels good rather than what is good. Both for myself and for others. I'd rather stay in my comfort zone than get out of it. That even when I'm writing about this on Facebook and I write a Facebook post about get out of your comfort zone, all that kind of stuff, it doesn't mean that I'm actually doing it. And I have a hunch that this might be the case with others as well who are writing about it, but not really doing it. Writing about it is one thing, right? My teacher always says, well, talk is cheap. The proof is in the pudding. And yes, indeed, talk is very cheap. For example, right now I could tell you anything. So it's important to have an ability to reflect, to actually know, well, is that a wholesome quality or not? Does it lead to long-term benefit and happiness or not? So you need to use some discernment. There has to be some learning as well, some study to actually help you with this path. You need to know the map a little bit. So, for example, what is it that we should abandon, that we should stop? What is it harmful behavior that we should let go of? For example, fault finding, that's definitely one of them. That is pertaining to the mind. If you let go of the fault finding attitude, great. Rejoice right there. So you're building wholesome energy right afterwards. You're exercising empathetic joy. You're having empathy with yourself. You're doing well. most people, in fact, when they look at themselves, they look for where they're not doing well. They find fault with themselves very easily. When they think about themselves, it's very often very negative ways. What doesn't work, how the meditation just now, how many times I've been distracted, that is easy to know. How the body was painful, and shift it around a little bit. You can enjoy the fact that even though the body was painful, you made an effort to actually stay still and to relax from the inside out, to build that skill a little bit. Great. That's amazing. While at the same time you were cultivating some patience. Fantastic. It's a good quality. Right? Rejoice in it. Yes. You're getting out of your comfort zone a little bit in your meditation practice. It's a good thing. Like sometimes meditation brings you out of your comfort zone. I would encourage that also, not to run away from that. Meditation is not, as I said last time, escapism. We're not escaping real life. We are facing it. We're not escaping ourselves through movies, books, conversations, napping, whatnot. We look at ourselves. That's a tough thing to do. Enjoy afterwards. You did it really well. That's a good thing. You are contributing to the overall level of peace on this planet. Can you find joy in that? Can you find delight in that? And so you can exercise mudita in various ways. You can train yourself to develop and to create delight whenever you see something nice. I find actually that Thais are really good at that. Naturally. They would just enjoy when you do something. Like yesterday, I was just standing around in a park practicing Tai Chi, and then you just stand. And there was a guy that was like running around the little lake. And he ran around and he saw me after each round, and I was still standing there. And he might have been like from the police or something. And so he saw me standing there sweating, just being still. And first round he just looked, second round he smiled, third round he gave me a thumbs up and smiled and appreciated what I was doing, because he probably understood that it requires patience to just stand like that. And he recognized it and he could rejoice in it. That would be an example of mudita. Very simple. Whenever you see someone exercising well, do you feel happy for them? That would be an example of mudita. They're taking care of their body, they're cultivating health. Great. Nice for them. When someone comes to you and says, well, I had a great meditation, can you enjoy that? A bit more tough is your colleague at the office got the promotion instead of you. Can you enjoy? So mudita is a direct antidote for jealousy, actually. The more you're able to enjoy others' success and health and well-being, the better. The more you're counteracting the faculty of feeling bitter and angry at other people's success. And you benefit at the same time when you're happy for them. It's a great quality to have. You can sleep at night. Your colleague got the promotion. He must feel ecstatic by now. Great. Amazing. This is difficult, particularly if you're invested in it. It requires some training. But if you can master that training, it's a wonderful ability to... It's just free happiness. Whenever you see someone being happy, you can just join in. That's mudita. And we're talking about wholesome happiness. If the mafia guy shoots his enemy and feels happy about it, that's not something to rejoice in. So you have to be able to discern skillful actions from unskillful actions. Yes. Seeing someone taking drugs and feeling super happy about it, that might not be a reason for rejoicing. Yeah, there's different levels here, as you see. So when you see someone taking care of themselves in a good way, well then rejoice. Feel happy about it. Same for yourself. Normally also comes together with self-respect. You're doing something for yourself that is maybe not easy to do, but good. Now, the second quality, or the fourth one, is equanimity. Equanimity is a very, very powerful skill to have in daily life. It keeps you aloof and above drama. Equanimity, we just practice it in our meditation, is the ability to be even-minded. It's a very serene, tranquil state of mind. On the mundane, ordinary kind of levels, we can say that equanimity arises with, for example, in human interaction, when you're not making people your friends or your enemies. You're not making that distinguishing. You see people as being people. Like an example of equanimity would be making no preferences, not saying that person is better than others, or that person is my friend, that person is my enemy. Rather, we see that all of us are just human beings trying to be happy, trying not to suffer. And we all do the best we can. We are limited by our own upbringing and our own conditioning, all of us. If you have been raised in an Al-Qaeda training camp, you can't help but to think in these ways. You can't help it. It's impossible. You can't just say, ooh, my ways are so evil, I should change. It's impossible. It's out of reach, that kind of thought. And so we all are just like that. We can't help but be subject to our upbringing and the conditioning that comes with that. The culture we are raised in and so forth, you know. We can't help but get angry at certain things and get happy at others and feel happy about others. That's just the way we're wired, the way our neuronal networks in our brain function and so forth, you know. It's genetics, it's group consciousness, there's a lot of things playing together for us to be who we are. And none of us here in this room can help but be who we are. You can't help but be Cyrus, for example. Pan can't help but be Pan. She cannot not be herself. Sometimes when someone takes a photo of you and says, just be natural, be yourself, it's a very funny advice. How can you not be yourself? And if you point a camera at someone, then they usually get into this kind of fake mode very quick. They put on their camera face. Also, that is an aspect of being yourself. You can't help but do that. Camera comes up and you have to do this kind of camera thing. You have to do the duck face. Or you have to throw up a peace sign or something like that. You can't help it. You're so wired like that. You see? We can't help it. And so that gives rise to some equanimity. We can see, wow, we're all the same there. We're all trying to be happy, having no clue how to do it. And we're all trying not to suffer, obviously also having no clue how to do it collectively. And I'm one of those guys. If you can see it like that, this is a balanced view. You know, saying that person is my friend, that person is my enemy. There is no friend or enemy. You're making it in your heads. It's just people. They all try the same. All the time. They try not to suffer. They try to be happy. Just like me, just like myself. Equanimity is born there. You're not making special people and unspecial people. All the same. In that aspect, yeah? In the aspect of looking for happiness and trying to get out of suffering. I'm not saying that we're all the same. Careful with that. We're not all one. We're very different, all of us. But in some aspects we are the same. Our mind works in the same ways. And so on a higher level, equanimity, for example, could be seeing all thoughts as just thoughts. You're not picking some thoughts and say, these thoughts are great, those thoughts are bad. They're all just thoughts. So you see the commonality between all thoughts. You can clearly understand them as, just thinking. So you're not getting carried away with either good or bad thoughts. You're not even in your mind making good or bad thoughts. You're not saying, those thoughts are my friends, those thoughts are my enemies. They're just thoughts. The same goes for emotions. The same goes, and now it becomes very difficult, with physical feelings. Pain, lust. There's many feelings that are very powerful in our bodies. Can you see them as just feelings? That is equanimity. Now, some people are a bit scared of equanimity. They think equanimity means indifference. No. That's a triple no there. Equanimity is not indifference. Indifference is the so-called near enemy of equanimity. It looks like equanimity, but it is not. You can pretend that you're equanimous, but really you're indifferent. You don't care. You see, not caring is not equanimity. It's not like you don't care. You are fully aware of what is going on, and because you see into the reality of what is going on, equanimity is there. You don't have to create it artificially. You see it because you see the truth of things. Thoughts are just thoughts. Feelings are just feelings. And now the fear of people is that when they are equanimous, they will lose all happiness in their life. Yeah, many people fear that. They think, wait a second. Once I'm just like, it's just thinking, it's just feeling. Then when someone tells me, Tobi, I love you, my wife tells me, Tobi, I love you, I'll be just like, whatever. It's just, this is just sound. Right? You could say that. Well, my wife just utters sounds. They're just sounds. That's not equanimity. That is kind of like I would call it stupidity. Because you're abandoning reason. You're being rude and unfriendly. That's not equanimity. But you clearly understand, equanimity here means that you do understand you're not getting carried away by things. You all know the story of the horse farmer, right? Good, bad, who knows? You've probably all heard it already, yeah? That is a perfect example of equanimity. That guy has equanimity. He is at ease. Whereas the villagers are all like, yay, great, fantastic, that's such good news. And he's like, well, we don't know. And so he knows that things change. So he's not carried away by them. That is a power. Equanimity in itself is a very sublime happiness. It gives you great happiness. It is one of the highest forms of happiness that you could experience. Because you're free. You're unbound from things. Things cannot control you anymore. It is a taste of freedom. It's very relaxing. You're above things. And it doesn't make you feel like I'm better than everything else or I'm better than things. You're equanimous, so you don't have these kind of thoughts. You're not buying into these kind of thoughts, better or worse, up or down. You're just at ease. And yes, things will come and go. Problems will come and go. Solutions will come and go. People will come and go. Criticism will come and go. Some people will criticize you. Some people will praise you. They'll say, you're the best. Others say, you suck. You're like, okay. That's all right. That's just the world. It's up and down. Storm and calm. fire and water, again and again. Relax. You're at ease. This is the power of equanimity. So we train it on lower levels. It culminates on the fourth jhana, which I'm not qualified to talk about, but it's a very high level of meditation, which is called equanimity. The mind is completely balanced there. But we can already kind of taste what that is like in our ordinary life. A bit of balance. Not getting carried away. Knowing that good, bad, who knows story a little bit. Reflect on my life. Not getting carried away by the idea that if I do this in my future, my life will be perfect. Not really. It'll just be different, and then it will carry on being different, and then again, more things will happen. So just be at ease now. So these are the four states. Kindness, we can say even equanimity is the ultimate expression of kindness. If you're equanimous, you're really giving yourself space. And you give the world space. You're at ease with the way it is. You're not buying into this good, bad thing anymore. Into up, down, getting stuck or attached to either one of those. The mind is centered at ease. Not touching things. But that is a very helpful tool that you can use when suffering comes, when difficult situations come. You can rest in equanimity. You can say, that's happening in life. Things go up and then they go down and then they go up again. So you can stay cool and relaxed. That's a good equanimity already. Someone comes to you and says a few very nice things to you, and the next day they come and they stab you into the back or hate you all of a sudden. That's just the way it is. We're all like that in a way, right? One day it's your best friend smiling in your face, saying all the nice things, lovely. A month later, radio silence, doesn't like you anymore. That's just the way it goes. Happens to all of us. So, relax. That's the way of the world, up and down. Instead, now, when you have equanimity, you have all the energy resources there to be kind and to be compassionate to yourself, to others, and to be joyful when things are good within yourself and others. So these four states are wonderful to cultivate. I highly encourage you to cultivate. You're building a lot of spiritual energy with that, a lot of good, wholesome energy, and you need that energy for the path. The Thais call it merit. It's very often translated as merit, bun. So you're building that powerful, wholesome spiritual energy. It lifts you up. It lifts you up into higher states of meditation. It lifts you up into higher states of insight and understanding, wisdom, clear seeing, and finally release. So build them at the best of your ability here and now. So that's all that comes to mind concerning those four states. Are there any questions?